Good day everyone and welcome back to BFA501. In this video, I'm going to show you and to guide you on how to draw a document flowchart diagram using pencil. As a case study for this video, I'm gonna use a self-checkout. So I will put the label here, self-checkout terminal as an internal agent for the diagram. I will make it bigger. Okay. Um, from the previous workshops that we have, I can tell that there are quite a bit number of students that quite confused about how to draw and how to distinguish between document flowchart diagram, business process diagram, and data flow diagram. So, uh, hopefully this video will clarify all the confusion that student facing during their learning process. So the first thing that we need, actually the document flowchart is very similar with the data flow diagram. So the focus is on the document, on the data that flowing throughout the process or throughout the activity or throughout the events. But in business process diagram, the focus is on the process, on the activity. Okay, so there is no document involved in business process diagram. However, in data flow diagram and in document flow diagram, data is involved. Okay, so that's the very main difference between BBD and DFD and document flowchart diagram. Document flowchart diagram by nature is very similar with data flow diagram. Okay, uh, there is a few tips that we can catch in order to easily understand how to draw a document flowchart diagram. The first thing that we need to think is, so for example, this is the self-checkout system. We need to identify the activity or the process. So because I put the label here is self-checkout system, we have to see it from the self-checkout terminal point of view. Okay, what kind of activity, what kind of activity that a self-checkout terminal do um, for its job. Okay, let me guide you. The first activity possibly is to identify the purchase item and also to count the total amount of money that a customer need to pay. So you can say identify purchase item and count the total, for example. Okay, and then what else? Oh, a self-checkout terminal should be able to process the payment. Okay, process payment. What else? Okay, maybe the third one is print receipt. Okay, so we are starting with a very simple step, which is by identifying the activity or the process that can be able be handled by the self-checkout terminal. So the first one here is identify purchase items and count the total. The second one is process payment, and the third one is print receipt. It's highly prescribed that we start from something simple. Okay, we don't want to make things complicated in the beginning. We want to make it as simple as possible in the beginning. Okay, we already identified three processes here or three activities here. Okay, the next question that we should ask is what kind of data that will act as an input for each of the process, and what kind of data that will be produced from each of the process. Let me say it again. The next thing that we need to identify is we need to identify what kind of data which is required to do each process, and what kind of data that will be generated by each of this process. For example, identify the purchase item and count the total. The data is the item barcode. Exactly. Uh, Let me see. So a self-checkout system will be able to identify the purchase item if there is, or if a customer supply a purchase item barcode or product barcode. Okay, so let me say product barcode here. So product barcode will act as uh, an input for this process. Okay, so the customer will scan the product barcode and the self-checkout terminal will identify the purchase item. Okay, there is a question why there is no process of scanning items. Okay, so in this case, we need to see it from the self-checkout terminal point of view. The one who do scanning item is not the self-checkout system. The one who do the scanning item is the customer. We are not seeing from the customer point of view. We want to see it from the self-checkout terminal in this case. So what a self-checkout terminal do is identify the purchase items based on the product barcode then been supplied or that been scanned uh, through the system. Okay. The next question is based on the product barcode, how can a self-checkout terminal can identify the purchase item? It means that this process also require another amount of data that came from database. Exactly. So the database can be represented with this magnetic disk. Okay. As an example here is the um, product table. And this will act as another input for the purchase item. Okay. So in this case, this activity will require a product barcode which is scanned uh, by the customer, and based on the product barcode it will query the complete data. What is the name of the product and also the price of the product, and continue for the other activity inside here, which is count the total. So we'll accumulate all the price of the product. Right. So the next one is the output from this one, from this process will be total amount. Let's say total amount. Oh, let me move this one. Bottom. Okay. This process of this activity will produce another output document or output data, which is total amount. Okay. The next one is continue with the process payment. So once we get the data of the total amount, this kind of data or this kind of information will be used, this kind of data will be used for as an input for the next process or for the next activity, which is process payment. Okay, this case is process payment. So um, let's assume that this particular self checkout will only accept a card payment, so no cash payment. We want to make it more simpler in this case, only card payment. So it means in this case, this process payment will require another input, not only the total amount that have to be paid, but also information about the debit or credit card info. So in this case, it will require another document as an input. Let's say debit slash credit card info. Okay. Okay. We'll draw a line from here to here. Okay, so this process payment will require two input document or two input data. The first one is total amount, and the second one is the information of the debit or credit card. Okay, so and then the next one is, hang on a second, before this point, um, there is a question about where is the source for product barcode and debit or credit card info. The source from these two kind of document is came from exactly from a customer. We will use customer as a termination in this case. Customer. So termination here is used as or to represent an external entity. Okay. I will put customer a bit here. Okay. So this customer will produce product barcode, and a customer also will generate or will supply debit or credit card info. We'll make it a bit clearer, maybe here. Okay, this is just for temporary, we might need to readjust. Okay, okay, so there is a things that we need to take a note about this termination symbols. Termination symbols in document flowchart diagram is used to represent an external entity, okay, or an external agent. So there is a specific characteristic about an external agent. External agent is like an entity outside the system. So in self-checkout terminal, customer will be act as the external, okay, outsider. Okay, so it means the customer, because this is act as an external, will not involve directly in a process. Okay, so in this case, it is not right, okay, or it is not advisable to make something like this. Scan barcode, for example. Okay, like this. this is not correct or this is not advisable. Okay, so pay attention of this one. This is not advisable. Why? Because customer in this case is act as an external agent. It means that customer will only be able to supply document or receive a document. Customer cannot involve in any activity, only acted. So for an external agent, the things that can be done by an external agent is always only provide document or receive document. Okay, this is the things that need to be clear. Okay, good. I will fix this one. I will remove this one. Okay, don't get confused about this one. I'm also a little bit confused in the beginning because in the beginning I thought that an external agent can involve in an activity, but turns out I already double checked with uh, some resources that I read. Turns out it's not allowed in a document flowchart diagram at least. Okay, so we will progressing now with the next things. Okay, so this kind of process will produce another document or another data or another output. So the output for this process, we can say like payment info. So payment info is basically a combination between the total amount that need to be paid and also the information about the debit or credit card info. Okay, and this one will be linked here, this one will be linked over here. Okay. Okay, so this payment info will be sent to an external agent, another external agent here. In this case is a bank. Okay, I'll put a bank. So bank will be another external agent. So external agent can receive document. It can. What what bank do with this kind of payment info? We don't know and we don't want to know. Okay, because bank in this case acting as an external agent. We don't want to know about what kind of process that the bank do. Okay, we just want to supply a document to the bank and we want to get a document from the bank, for example. So we don't know what kind of processing that a bank does, but we do want to receive a payment confirmation from a bank. So a bank is will producing a payment confirmation, right? And bank will send it to the system. Okay. Hang on a second. I will make it a bit more compact because we are running out of space. I need to make sure that we have enough space. Okay. So based on the payment confirmation, there are a couple of conditions, a couple of possible conditions. The first one is the payment is approved. The second one will be maybe the payment is not approved. Maybe there is a case where there is not enough or insufficient funding on the debit card or the credit card has been expired or some other reasons. We don't know. But and that's the part of the bank. That kind of processing is from the bank point of view because this diagram is focusing on a self-checkout terminal. We only want to focusing on the process and the document flow within the self-checkout terminal only. We don't want to know about what the bank does. Okay. Okay, we can make like this. Okay. Let's say payment approve. Approve. Question mark. So there will be two conditions, either yes or no. Either the payment is approved or the payment is not approved. Okay. Okay. Let's say, okay, if the payment is approved, then the process will continue with print receipt, for example. If it is approved, yes. But if it is not approved, I want to, or the self-checkout terminal will alert the customer, and the output will be in the display or in the screen. Let's say display payment error, for example. Okay, we can use this symbol. I will show you this one, display. Okay, we can use this kind of symbol to say display payment error. Alright. Okay, maybe better for me to put it here, to combine it with this one, so I don't have to make too much mess. And then this one will be used for here. Okay, and this is for a situation where the payment is not approved, so I can say no. Right. So if the payment is not approved, the payment approved question mark no, display payment error, and this display payment error is meant to be sent to the user. Okay, so this kind of symbol is to represent the information that been shown in a monitor or in a display, so it's not a printed one. Okay, but this kind of symbol is to represent the data as an input or the data as an output. This one can be electronic data, but can also be a physical data or a physical document. Okay, so don't be confused about this one. But this one is specific for the data or the information that been printed or then been displayed on the screen. Right? Cool. Alright, so print receipt. It will generate a receipt document. Receipt. Okay. This one. Oh, hang on a second. Okay. So maybe the print receipt. So if the payment approved, yes, it will go to a process called print receipt, and it will print physical receipt document, and it will be uh, meant to be sent to the customer. However, the print receipt, the system also want to record the payment or the transaction that been accomplished here into a database. So it might also involve another magnetic disk here. Okay, I'll show you here. And maybe let's say it's really related with the sales database. Let's say sales table, because this transaction won't be recorded, will be recorded into the system. Yeah, we need to record this kind of transaction, otherwise we cannot generate any sales report. Okay, so we need to uh, so the system need to record this transaction. Oh, what happened with this one? I think I picked the wrong one. Multi-segment connection. This one. Perfect. Right. And that's it, guys. Pretty much. This is a more descriptive and more detailed information regarding the document flowchart diagram. Hopefully, this kind of explanation will clarify the confusion that been happening around some of you students. And yeah, hopefully this video will be able to make you more clear about this diagram and how to draw the diagram and how to use each of the symbols. And yep. Oh, let me update the page title here. Let's say self checkout document flowchart. Okay, let's apply this one. That's it. And if you want to use a coloring, you can do it as well, as long as you need to be consistent. So for example, oh, I want to use red color for document, for example. So we have to be consistent. We need to use red for each of the document. Okay, as long as we are consistent, it's color coded can be a good idea. Okay. But don't make like a confusion by doing, sometimes we are coloring red for the document, but sometimes we are coloring blue or green, for example. So as long as we are consistent, it's a good thing to do. Okay, so for example, for process, I want to make it blue, for example. So yeah, I have to be consistent. So make it, sorry, green, I mean, not blue, green. I missed this one. Okay, so I have to make it, yes, and so on. So if I want to make this one as gray, I have to be consistent. Every time I use termination, I have to use a gray color. And but yeah, the coloring is completely up to you and also depend on the need. But make sure that you use a consistent coloring schema. Okay, that's all, guys. Hopefully this video is beneficial and helpful to build your understanding about the document flowchart diagram, and have a good day. See ya.